On today's episode of the Command Center podcast, we talk Myles Garrett requesting a trade, and we talk about what we think his value actually is. Free agency's coming up. There's a lot of free agents, pending free agents on this team.
29.
We talk about the benefits of a lot of turnover and what's important about keeping here in Washington. And we do Risk It for the Biscuit Super Bowl preview.
Yes.
Fred is wishing for love, man. He's betting on love in this game.
And not the city of brothers.
It all starts right now. Welcome into the Command Center podcast. I'm Logan Paulson here with Fred Smoot and Santana Moss. And as always, we are presented by Cognier Technologies. Secure today, shape tomorrow, and we are in full off-season swing here. And
I'm glad we made it to the off-season late this year.
It does feel good, doesn't it?
I did my first draft simulation last week. Like, usually I'm in it in January.
You're in it.
I did my first one the other day, and I was like, this draft is kind of iffy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I've been in the fall because I'm kind of like lost. I haven't been in this. I haven't got into things this late, so I'm sitting here like, well, damn. I feel like I'm waiting for something else to happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's over, Tanner.
No, it's over. The ride is over.
Yeah, this year was definitely way different. Like pushing everything back. Like Jason and I go down to the Senior Bowl every year.
Yeah,
and it was like game. I came in on Monday for work.
Yeah,
we left on Tuesday and was gone for the whole week.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was just how tight it all was. Like, and how the prep is different now. But it was good to be winning games in the playoffs and getting to this point. But now we got to talk free agency. And so this team is in a very unique situation. Fred and Santana.
Yep.
They have 29 free agents, right?
Yeah. That's half a team. That's half a roster.
At least it's a little over half. Yeah, because we got 53 guys on the active roster, right? 29. Do the math there for yourself. So obviously there's going to be a lot of turnover here, right? Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And I think, and to cut you off at the pass, there's probably good things about it and there's probably bad things about it.
Can I ask you something, Logan?
Yes.
Is it guaranteed that it's going to be as much turnover because it is 29? Do you think they want to at least keep half of those dudes so the roster is not fully changed over? Just because they are free agents don't mean they're leaving.
Yeah, and so basically they're pending free agents because like you're not technically a free agent until sometime in May, end of league year, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about guys that are not renewed for 2025.
Yeah.
And so for me, Fred, I think that's a good question. I think that's ultimately what you're trying to do, right? Is make sure you're bringing a percentage back. I think the thing is, who are you going to bring back? Right, because there are some interesting people here. Like there's some old guys that need to be coming back because of leadership and production, all those different things. But is there anything to to be able to say we're going to turn over maybe over half these guys? Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like not bring back half of them. Is there a benefit to that?
Yeah, I think you try to bring back half of them, but then you ask yourself, now that I got these baseline guys back, which position do I want to upgrade and how do I want to proceed by doing it? Yeah. Am I going to upgrade this position through the draft? I'm going to upgrade this position through free agency. Yeah. So I think that's the thing. And you're right. It's some guys on here, legit starters contributed to this team that I think you got to sit back and take a long look. And that don't mean you just looking at our own free agents. Yeah. You're looking at other free agents too and say, all right, can I upgrade? Did this guy get better as the year go on? And is he what Coach Gibbs used to call a core commander? Yeah. Is he a core guy?
Yeah. And speaking to that, I think having those core guys, not even saying having those core guys, having the season that we had last year gives the Commanders staff full leverage of saying that, okay, some of these guys, whether they play excellent or not, they're going to say, man, I'll take less
to come back.
To stay here.
Yeah.
So I think we have that going for us. And then,
which we ain't had going.
I honestly see a bunch of these guys, names just not calling any. Yeah. Like, man, look here, man, run it back with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
you give me a chance.
Give me what you gave me last year. You know what I mean? Because when you have a team, there's success beyond just, getting that paycheck.
No, I think that's 100% right. And I think it's interesting because I like what you said there. Are they core guys? And this is something I always have a hard time when people are like, oh, Logan, who are they going to bring back? Like, it's like, I got a watch, right? I got a nice watch. I like the watch. Yeah. And I'm trying to give it to you. And you say, well, how much is it? Because it doesn't, if I say it's $10, you're like, hell yeah. Yeah. Come on down. Come on back. But if I'm like, hey, it's $50,000, you're like, maybe I'll find a different watch.
But the value is in there personally for you because it's sentimental value.
Correct.
But that value, I don't see that value on the outside. So maybe people on the outside in the NFL don't value some of these guys as heavily as we do, especially when you're talking about just one guy I'm going to throw out there, Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a great pull.
We're talking about intangibles. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about setting the tone. We're talking about been there, done that. I got more reasons to bring you back than just money.
Yeah.
And also his relationship to Jaden. I think that's something that's huge, right? It's like there's intrinsic, like when you say core commander, I like the way you said that, right? Because it's guys that embody the culture. They played a certain way. They have a certain leadership and mentorship style. Now, is their role going to be the same? Like, so for example, I could bring Bobby back, but I could also draft a young linebacker, right?
Yeah, for him to mentor and teach.
And again, because you always, with an older player like Bobby, who again is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And again, his impact on this roster is like indisputable.
Yeah.
Time waits for no man.
Yeah. Father time,
what's the
undefeated.
contingency? If you do bring him back, which I think is appropriate, if the number's right, it works for both parties. I think you still need to prep. So maybe you find a young free agent linebacker, you find a guy in the draft, and that's where it becomes a little bit different because it does change how you're building the team after that.
And not to forget too, we have a young linebacker who I think he's probably was mentoring a lot last year. Who didn't play a lot.
Yeah, he didn't play.
You know what I mean? So I mean, like, trust me, when you throw a name like that, that's an obvious name. You know, that's a guy that we don't even have to talk about when it comes to, you know, what level of I guess you can say,
interest we got in him.
Bingo. There you go. You
And again, like, we're not saying that Adam has to bring this guy back. This is just our opinion.
It's just common sense.
Adam this is the one thing. Like, we know a lot about this team. We cover this team. We talk to people a lot. But, like, I bumped into Adam, you know, down at the Senior Bowl briefly. And I was just like, the amount of stuff this guy has to know is insane. Like, he's talking to the director of college scouting. He's meeting with prospects. He's thinking about what he's doing with coaches. And like, the amount of information he's got at his disposal is different. So this is just our opinion here, right? But I think, based on what we've heard and seen from Bobby, yes, right? A guy that I think is really interesting. Let's go by position. Yeah. John Bates, Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
That to me is so interesting because you're not going to find a better blocking Y than John Bates in the NFL. Yeah. And Zach Ertz had 77 catches last year in this offense. But he's also 34 years old.
And I'm going to say, he's 34 years old with gas in the tank. That's what he proved to me. My age is what it is, but gas in the tank. Now, if I'm building this team and I got to pick between the two, I'm going with Zach Ertz. Yeah. I'm going with Zach Ertz, but in my mind's eye, if I'm like, because I'm trying to build a championship window. Yeah. In my mind's eye, a couple of guys that started for us last year, if they're your second screen guy, that means your depth is that much better and your team is that much talented.
Talk about that a little bit. That's an interesting point. Like, because like again, like you can re-sign a guy.
Yeah. And I can layer depth. I can layer.
Yeah, you can layer stuff in there.
If I bring Zach Ertz back, and then I'm just throwing it out there hypothetically, I go trade for a Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, hypothetically, yeah.
And now Zach Ertz is my number 2 tight end, who I'm gonna still put on the field
as a one. At times.
Yeah. So I want to stack positions because I feel like we got to the end of the playoffs and it showed us where we had depth problems.
I think this is this is the point, right? Like, we love, like, if I read every name on this list after this season,
we love all of them.
I love all these guys.
Yeah.
But the thing when you're in that big chair, when you're the GM chair, you can't think about, I really like John Bates. Yeah. I got to make the best tight end room possible I can for the dollar amount. Yep. And so it's always about how do you improve? And I think that's the underlying thing here, right? And I do think, like, to me, when I watch John play, to me, he's a core commander, right? But to your point, Fred, it's like John Bates, and then can we add? Like, can we add to that room? Can we say Zach Ertz and somebody else and Benson it and have that group of 4 be really dynamic, right, Tanner? I'm sure you've been in situations
So
like
my
that.
question would be, with y'all mentioning them 2 names, just like I said, this is just us speculating. Yeah. Would you go for the seasoned guy or the younger guy and then add?
I want Ertz back because he
was like, I know people,
he was so damn good this year.
It's hard to quantify how good he was.
Like you know how we talk about the safety blanket in the midfield quarterbacks? He was beyond the safety blanket for him.
That's where I get worried about not bringing him back. Like, Jaden has this relationship with him. You can trust him on third down. He can win in man situations. He can win in the red zone. And so losing that production is scary to me.
Yeah, and that's why I can't lose him. I want him to be a part of this team, no matter if you're a 1 or 2. I'd rather for you to be a 2.
Because you know he's going to show up regardless.
And when I do my 2 tight end sets, both tight ends are a threat.
And I think people forget that when they brought him in, they wanted him to be a rotational third down and red zone guy. So basically the role he was supposed to have this year, he can have next year.
Because we needed him to do more.
If somebody competes competes for that level and competes to that level and outrank him.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But he the guy in the tight end room that I want to bring back.
No question.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting one, and again, we're going to look at a couple different positions here, is the receiver room. You got De'Ami Brown, you got Noah Brown, you got Jamison Crowder, and you got OZ, right? All those guys
They
played
well.
gosh darn good football this year. You know?
And here go the crazy thing about the 4 guys you just named. They kind of did this rotation yearly as the number 2.
Yeah.
And whenever they number was called, and they do it different ways.
Yeah.
Whenever they numbers was called,
they showed up.
Now, we just talked about upgrading the room.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to upgrade the room, I hate to say it, I might can't sign but 2 out of the 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. Yep, I think that's fair.
I see that.
And this means I got to pick between one of the Brown brothers, OZ, and listen, if anybody has grown on me like a mole, I'm telling you right now, it's Jamison Crowder.
Dude, and that's the thing is like when you talk about Commanders guys, I don't think you could look at any one of those 4 guys and say they're not Commanders. But what I also will say is like I had a conversation with Adam Peters when I got my last year in San Francisco. And he was basically like, yeah, Logan, we'd love to have you back. You're a core guy for us. We think you bring a good cultural element. But and you're like, but we want to get better at the room, right? So you would be the 3rd rotational guy, kind of special teams up and down on the roster, practice squad, bouncing back and forth. But I think that's the conversation you got to have here is like, even though Noah Brown, De'Ami Brown, Jamison Crowder, OZ are all probably really solid depth pieces with 2 upside.
Yeah.
Do you say we want you back, but we're going to continue to look for that
Upgrades.
true
No question.
Number 2. Yeah. Now, and here go the thing about it. Did either of these guys play themselves to the point that other teams want to
that's a great question.
Like if you said who had the best season out of these 4, I would say Noah.
Yeah, Noah Brown.
I would say Noah Brown. All right. Now, do I think De'Ami opened some eyes to people?
And still young enough to have that chance to
develop.
To be a true.
All right. So it's kind of like supply and demand on this one. I think a guy like OZ, even though he made some plays, I would think they'll probably go after the Brown brothers more.
I say I make it. I mean, I won't even go. It's not that hard. You look at a guy who's, like you said, a core guy, who's a veteran, who I know is going to produce, and I can get cheap. That's Crowder. Boom. So I'm locking him down ASAP.
Yeah.
Then now I'm going to pick through the last 3. Okay, I'm going to bring a guy in probably that's going to fight one of these guys for that true number 2 position.
Yeah.
So who's the guy that I know that would be cheaper, but that's going to give me the same production?
Yeah.
Now you weigh those options that way. I look at Noah and I look at De'Ami and I'm saying to myself, Noah probably is not going to go nowhere and get a
contract, big contract. Yeah.
But is he willing to compete for that second job? As I bring a guy in, that's probably I'm gonna have to give a big deal.
And that's all he's did his whole career.
Yeah.
Also, KJ Osborne's on this list, by the way. I forgot.
Oh yeah, you forgot about KJ. Yeah. But then you got Zacchaeus and a guy like De'Ami. De'Ami, I believe truly, being that he has his youth and he showed up, somebody's gonna want to use him.
Somebody is going to try to sign him.
A 1B
and
or
put it like this: his agent won't let him rush.
Yeah. That process.
To re-sign with us. His agent gonna try to tell him, be patient, let this thing play out a little bit. Yeah. Where Jamison, where the contract at?
Yeah, and I think that's another thing to think about too. Is this is again a hypothetical universe.
Hypothetical.
You could re-sign all 5 of these guys.
Yeah,
but then you're gonna when training camp comes,
you're gonna cut
two of them, right? Because you brought in 2 other people that either in the free agency or in the draft. Like that's the thing is like the longer I was around, the more I was like kind of a bottom of the roster guy, is you see like guys want a foundational element to their roster where it's like, hey, we feel good if we don't get somebody, but we're looking for somebody.
Yeah.
And so here's a room where I think all these guys maybe should be back, but they're going to find a piece.
Yeah.
You know, and like the big name floating around is T. Higgins, Chris Godwin. Yeah. You're going to trade for whatever it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Get that piece in there, and then it's like, okay, well now we can trim the fat and get guys out. We need to get guys out. And I think the one thing about Adam Peters, from my own experience dealing with him, is he told me, he's like, hey man, like we want you back, but this is the score.
Yeah.
And
but
I was
at least
like,
he told
he was
you
straight
the
up
truth.
with me, so I could make a decision as a veteran and say, well, that's cool. I'm going to go look someplace else. Well, and that's something I always appreciate.
And we also know when you're not the legit 1 or 2, special teams is how you make it.
Yeah.
And when I look down this list, Zacchaeus plays special teams.
Crowder's a
they are the two main special team people. So as I continue to check these things, Crowder continues to come back up.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I have to pick between one of the Brown brothers. I just feel like I can't have both.
Yeah, they probably both.
De'Ami played special teams too. He was a flyer at times.
A gunner, yeah.
But if you have that conversation, if you're Adam, right, like one of those guys is going to be like, probably not, like, or if you're OZ, I got a better opportunity. So I think that's where, again, like that's why it's interesting. I think they all could come back. They all maybe should deserve to come back.
Yeah.
But just know another person is going to come.
Yes.
And we all know that most of these decisions are made regardless of how good the team is and regardless of how much these guys want to be around something a winning formula like we have here.
Want to play.
They want to also get the max to what they feel like they
max
can
their
get.
career out,
For their potential, where they at. You know what I mean? So if they see money elsewhere, they're going to have to go. Some of those guys going to say, hey, man, it just makes more sense for me to go elsewhere.
And good teams lose good players. This is part of it.
And then the other position group I just want to call attention to, and then I got a question about one specific guy. So this is the last one we're going to do. A position group is Michael Dieter, Cornelius Lucas, Trent Scott. All three offensive linemen, all three swing offensive players are up as free agents. Do you try to re-sign some of those guys? I think you have to, right?
I got to re-sign Dieter, all right? Even though it didn't end well at the end of the season. He played good in spots. I just got to have a backup center, most definitely, and he can play guard.
Yeah.
All right. You brought something to me with Cornelius Lucas. He's about to be 35 years old.
About to be 36.
36. Even though his play didn't win.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job.
So and guess what? And I also can get him at a commander's fee.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. But then you got Trent Scott over there. Has Trent Scott played enough that some other team want to make him their Wiley?
Yeah, he's a guy that you probably say, here's like maybe vet min, plus just a little bit above, stick around. We like what you did here. And then if someone else offers him something better, maybe he goes a different direction. But that's a tough spot because like Tana said, like offensive line depth is so underrated in the NFL. And offensive line consistency in that depth is underrated. So I think you try to make a swing for two of those guys.
I was going to say you have to because it's crazy when we was going through the season and how good we was playing offensive line-wise. The only thing was in the back of my head was like, stay healthy. And you saw what happened. Got bit by that bug late in the season. So that's the worst and the critical time that you don't need to be experiencing that. So depth was key. And I think having a guy like Lucas, having Dieter, having Trent Scott on our team showed that we had enough depth to go out there and play with guys that can still go out there and win us some ball games.
And don't forget Trent Scott. I think he caught Jaden Daniels' first touchdown, did he?
He did. That's right. And, he did.
That was at Cincy?
Yeah, at Cincy,
And fought for that ball, didn't he?
Yeah, he did a great job, man. That was like really impressive, actually. Now
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, Trent Scott.
The other one I wanted to ask you about, just as one guy in particular, and I think I know the answer, but I thought I'd just pose it to you, is, obviously there's some defensive linemen, there's some kickers on here. I think those same depth conversations apply to some of these guys. The one guy on here that really jumps out to me is Jeremy Chin. What, if you were putting the GM hat on in an alternate universe, again, we're not saying what Adam Peters should do, but if for you guys, like, what does that contract look like, and how important is that he is back for you?
I don't know what the dollar gonna be. Cause I get to that at the later date, but I be saying, hey, make sure you get that key ready for that vault over there, cause I gotta go ahead and I gotta give somebody what he's due. You know what I mean? I just feel like when you have, and we all might have different opinions about this.
Yeah.
But I say for what we do defensively, especially in our secondary, and knowing how shaky it was at time at the cornerback position. What Chin showed us that he can do and be that guy, you don't know if he's lining up in the nickel. You don't know if he's lining up at linebacker. You don't know and then he's at safety. That alone, to me, where I'm going to get that talent from, where I'm going to get that size from, where I'm going to get that style of play from, I'm not going elsewhere. When I have it already at home, I'm paying him.
He one of my long-term dudes I want to bring. And all right. Now, Dante Fowler is the one that I'm kind of.
But I think his ticket just.
That's what I'm saying, but I think also in the back of his head, he not trying to lead coach.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for the opportunity.
He been with him for a while.
I'm living proof of that. Like, I haven't found my way back to Greg Williams.
And this defense allows him to be
him. Yeah, because he didn't see himself play for another team and not produce as well. So the two guys right now, Jeremy Chin.
But you don't think Fowler's still in a situation right now where he can get a big deal somewhere? Like, Do it come from us, you think?
Even though he had a lot of sacks, I wonder how the rest of the NFL looks at him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Can he be a every down back and do that?
And the question is, do they let him test the market before you sign him to see where the baseline at? To see if it's going to be ludicrous?
I look at Fowler's situation. I look at Fowler's situation like me being a Tyreek Hill, and I know my skill set. I want the offense that's going to allow me to exploit what I do well. See what I'm saying? So if I'm a Tyreek Hill, I'm not trying to go and be in the every down and be on the outside as a receiver and get money. I'm going to stay somewhere in that Mike McDaniel style offense, whether it's going to be with Mike McDaniel, it's going to be somewhere that's going to allow me to move around and be lethal. Yeah. Now, Fowler's the same way. He has a skill set where if he's just putting his hand in the ground every down, do we get the same production? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Do we get that same production? He could go get paid somewhere and they say, well, we don't need you to do all that. We just need you to do this. Yeah. Do we see the same Fowler? Yeah. And then now you say, okay, well, over here, they're probably going to pay me. Might not be what they will, but I'm going to be able to move around and do what I do, go out here and blitz when I want to, do the things that made me special. So that's how I look at that situation.
And another guy that I feel made himself some money.
Logan.
He didn't have like crazy numbers or nothing, but he played the entire year, played solid in the slot. Noah Igbenogany.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Like, he's a guy that I don't think his tab is going to be that high. Yeah. But his production was good.
But I think all three of those guys go back to guys that played well this year that seemingly from the outside looking look like Commanders guys, right? Like core Commanders guys. So yeah, I think I agree with Tana. Like Jeremy Chin, if you could get in that kind of market value for a plus safety, box safety. Dante Fowler Jr. is interesting. I think he probably sticks around because of Dan, because of his role. And I think they paid him this year like he was going to be a situational pass rusher. He ended up playing more because of injuries and guys getting nicked up, and he did a great job. But I think you kind of same with Zach Ertz. You want to find another person that forces Fowler to be the situational pass rusher.
Be the second guy.
The same way that Zach was supposed to be the situational third down guy this year, right? Yep. And then I'm really glad you brought up Noah Igbenogany too, Fred, because he's a guy that I feel like did a really good job in the nickel. And the thing with him is I think there might be more of a market for him long term, because I think if you get him back in kind of a lower tax bracket type number, you probably feel good about it. But if someone offers him and says, "Hey, we want you to be the full-time nickel,"
I can't be mad at it. I can't be mad at it. And my guy, who I think will be the first guy signed off this list, is Tress Way. You don't feel the same because you like
no. I do. I think they should sign him. I think he should be back. I hate when like we say something like, oh, he should be back, and then he's not back, and it disappoints.
Then somebody comes smooth. What happened?
No, I think, and again, I think he will be back. I think he should be back. I don't think
this is the fresh he's ever been coming off a season. He did he even punt this year?
Hey, listen, he did what was extra for him. He held the ball, and he's always been trusty. And it's nothing harder. Tanner is a punt returner than catching a left spiraling ball. So I just got to bring him back.
I just feel like it's not that many in this league better than him. So I'm like, hey, at the end of the day, when you get a guy that played as long as he's played, hell, I was on the team with him. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if you get a guy that played as long as he's played and coming off a season like this year where he's fresh, where we didn't even get a chance to really, wear nothing. He didn't wear nothing out. He was out there fresh, basically damn near half of the season. So it's no question I'm going to bring him back,
Yeah, so definitely free agency is always interesting. It's definitely interesting when there's so many guys, 29 guys that are technically pending free agents. So it's always interesting conversations. I think we all think a lot of these guys are going to be re-signed in some capacity. Yeah. Obviously, some will go different ways and they won't extend. But there's some really talented football players on here that I think really embody the culture. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch how that plays out over the next couple months and weeks. The other thing is when we're talking about roster construction, free agency is a piece, but also trades are a thing, right? So when I look at this, one of the big stories that comes out this week is that Myles Garrett requested a trade from Cleveland. Yeah. And obviously Myles Garrett is an absolute freak.
Yes, he is.
And so one of the first things that comes to mind is like, what if you were to add him and he becomes the rotational piece on the defense, then Deontay Fowler is the kind of the situational pass rush guy, and everyone kind of bumps into their correct positions.
Yes.
The problem is trades can be expensive.
They are expensive.
And so just looking at this thing right here, producer Jason did such a great job. We got Khalil Mack was 27 years old when he was traded from Oakland, I think at the time, to Chicago. Was it Oakland or were they in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it was Oakland.
Yeah, it was Oakland
Oakland.
at the time.
Okay, so he was 27, coming off a 10.5 sack season. He was traded from Oakland to Chicago. There it is right there. I should have just kept reading.
Yep.
The Bears gave up 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and a conditional 5th-round pick.
You know what? I haven't felt like the Chicago Bears just got whooped on this one since I went and bought a carton of eggs yesterday. All right, and they was $23.56.
This man over here. Did you practice that this morning?
No, what are you talking
dude's a
about?
fool, man.
Like, listen, this was highway robbery. Like, listen, Khalil
Very,
Mack.
very expensive.
Yeah, Khalil Mack he was at this time a generational talent. But what they gave up, I don't.
Bro, I'm
And
like,
ju- and
2
just-
first-round picks?
Dude, and just
a
to
second, a third, a 6th, and a conditional 5th?
Like,
Bro,
you gave away a whole draft.
for one player.
I really think that honestly they have just recently recovered from losing all this
Lord
draft
have
capital.
mercy.
And it took them trading the first-round pick last year
And whooping Carolina to do
in
it.
a trade.
But the crazy thing about it, like, you did that for a DN.
Yeah, well, so
pass rush.
So I'm glad you brought that up, Tana. Who are the most valuable positions in sports in football? One, quarterback.
Yep.
Right.
Left tackle.
Left tackle.
And then
DN.
DN, right? So like,
and you could throw corner up there.
yeah. But I'm talking about top.
Cornerstone guys.
Yeah.
If you got this,
Yeah.
you got a
if
chance.
you got a DN, you got a quarterback.
You
you're
got
doing
a
something.
chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just a reminder, we're filming this show on Tuesday. So if we're having this conversation and Myles Garrett has already found a home, congratulations to Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I hope
but we're
it's-
going to talk about it because we
Hope
think
it's
it's
in Northern
interesting.
Virginia.
Yeah, seriously. But so just to give you some context, more context on this, Myles Garrett is 29 years old.
All right, 2 years
2
older.
years older than Khalil Mack. He's coming off a 14 sack season, and the year prior to this, he was defensive MVP.
Yep.
He has been the highest graded player, defensive player in PFF history for 4 years in a row.
Yep.
4 years in a row. And prior to that, Aaron Donald obviously was the guy that was doing
He's
that.
not a used
so
car.
this to me is a different caliber
Then Khalil Mack.
than Khalil Mack.
He is.
And this is someone that I think it would be interesting to mortgage some draft capital
So
on.
basically, you saying we can't go player for player with him. He's the kind of guy that you need players and
Players and picks.
Yeah.
So in order to get this done, we're going to transport ourselves to the Command Center multiverse, right? For the Myles Garrett trade. I'm going to be the GM of the Pulsinators, and I want to acquire Myles Garrett from Fred Smoot, and he's the GM of the Smoot Scoots.
No, I go by the name, the alias Freddie Seifert.
That's your team name?
That's my GM name, Freddie Seifert.
Freddie Seifert in the multiverse. What team do you represent?
I represent the Smoots from Mississippi.
Yeah, there's a football team in Mississippi. And so
the Fighting Smoots.
Tana's going to
I'm
be
arbitrator Moss.
Yeah, he's going to be the commissioner. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of I'm going to throw out some ideas, and Fred's going to veto, and Tana's going to say whether this is okay.
Yeah.
So for my team, the Pulsinators, I'm picking a little bit later in the draft.
All right.
So I'm going to offer a first-round pick this year.
What's the number of the pick?
Let's say it's between 20 and 25. Okay, 20 and 25.
That's okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to offer next year's first. So 2 first-round draft picks.
All right, now we're cooking with fish grease.
And then I'm going to offer.
Is it fresh though?
Then I'm going to offer a player.
all right.
Okay.
Now, is this player Pro Bowler, good, quality? Where is this player
I
at?
think this player is good to Pro Bowler, somewhere
all
in
right,
between.
all
Right?
right,
I think like they're a piece of our team that we're really excited about. They've been here for a while, but
Yeah.
again, we want to get Myles Garrett on the
right,
Pulsinators. We want to make that happen.
Yeah.
So that's my first offer. Would you accept it, or do I need to sweeten the pot?
No, hell no, to the no. This is what I'm going to need you to do. I'm going to need you to sweeten it up. Did you start it off right with the 2 first-round picks? Yeah, but you are a good team, and you're not going to be picking high.
Like it?
So,
I like it.
I'm good with it. That player that you intrigued me with, now is, I'm getting some, I'm losing some, but I'm getting some back. Now all I need you to do is dangle a couple of late-round picks in there, maybe.
So let's say I'm really, we're kind of early on. We're still building. I want to keep some draft capital. What if I threw in another player?
What
if I threw in? We have
because you said the first one is a defensive player, preferably defensive line.
What if I threw in like a young offensive player, young offensive lineman? Let's say he's developmental. We're not really sure where he's going to be. We like him here. We want to keep him. But again, just to make sure that we get Myles Garrett, can we make that happen?
And you say the young offensive lineman?
Yeah. I think you should say yes, Fred.
I don't want to say yes because
why?
My team is already pretty good at the offensive line, and adding depth is smart. But what if I wanted your young tight end?
Young tight end, I would definitely. If I have a young tight end on the roster that we're also excited about him.
Yeah,
I think that would be a move. Because why? Because in this hypothetical multiverse, this year's tight end class in the draft is pretty good. So I would say yes. That would hurt me a lot. But for Myles Garrett, that seems Tana, what are you thinking right now?
Well, I'm thinking, I'm the arbitrator, so I'm sitting here waiting to get the head nod. Get the head nod that.
Right. So did we agree on 2 first rounds?
No, we haven't agreed yet. You have to tell me that you like it, and then I will tell you guys once it's all said and done. I'm gonna stamp it off. I'm gonna close the deal.
As it stands now, 2 first round.
Yep.
Basically 2 players.
2 players.
We haven't talked about what that late pick is.
What do you mean the late pick?
I said I wanted
I'm giving you a player. I'm giving you a young tight end.
So you substitute.
I want to keep my draft capital.
Player for the pick. So it's 2 players, 2 picks.
That's it. That's all I'm giving. And if that doesn't work, I can work some other stuff here. But I want to make sure I keep some draft capital because I'm trying to build my team up
organically.
Yes.
But I ain't got nothing to do with what you trying to do. That don't bother me.
But you want picks too, right?
Because I need to rebuild my roster.
Right.
I got problems with a guy I got to pay for years. I got to build my roster. Now, I'm contempt with the 2 players, 2 picks.
Okay.
I need a fifth. I need something in there. I need something in there.
I don't like it. What if we did this? As I want to keep my draft capital.
All I'm saying is the player that I'm trading to you is generational.
He is generational. So what if
right now we got you agreeing with
we got the 4 things and he wants a 5th thing.
So what's the 4 things? Give me one.
We got I get the back-to-back first round picks.
Okay.
And
next year.
I get one of your top defensive players.
Yep.
Okay. And I get your backup tight end.
Okay, so that's the 4 things.
They're the 4 things we already agreed to.
Y'all agreed to.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get him to throw in, sweeten the deal.
Sweeten it, baby.
With a 5th or something. A 5th or a 4th.
I'll give you, but what if I gave you a 5th in the multiverse in 2026? So next year's 5th.
How about you give me one of your this year's conditionals? Do you got a conditional pick?
I don't know
I think we got a conditional 5th.
How about I give you a conditional 5th next year? That's it. You want it next year or not? You should take it.
I agree with that. I got 5 things for this guy. I can rebuild my team. Yeah, I'm in good shape.
The other way I thought about going, you like it, Tana? Would you approve that one? I got another one I want to float.
It sounds great to me. Yeah. But as long as he give me to say okay, and then
I'm okay with that. But I want to hear what you got to say first.
So that I think that's something that's a realistic thing, right? That feels very real in terms of what it's going to take to move him, right? The other thing I was going to say is, what if I gave you 2 first-round picks and then I gave you a defensive backbone piece, a cultural piece that I love, I'm super excited about, and I really want to keep him, but I'm really excited about Myles Garrett. Like, he's a game changer, He's a game changer for us. And so it would just be those 3 things, but a game-changing defense.
So you're saying you would basically give me 2 first-round picks?
Yes.
And I feel like you're talking about a dude that.
Dave, we can't. This is hypothetical.
A
little Crash Bandicoot out here. You know what I mean?
No, because I'm trying to build something new. And if
you want the volume.
Yeah, I want volume. Because
I think that's smart.
Because if I'm finna lose this guy, that means we not in our window no more.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I think that's 100% right. So I think this is a really good job by Fred of giving insight in this multiverse world of why volume of commodity is so important for them specifically, right? And so that's what I think is when people are like, now we're back to real world. We're out of the multiverse. Did you approve the trade, Tana?
So after, I guess you can say a careful consideration that's been presented and thorough review, I honestly want to say that your terms that you presented.
That Drew Rosenhaus is over there killing it.
It seems to be an excellent deal.
So, and again, that's going to hurt. But I do think it's important for fans to understand, like, it's going to take a little bit to get
a lump sum.
And it's not, and the other thing is too, is it's not just what I think of the best offer is as the GM of the Pulsinators.
Yeah.
Like there's other GMs, like just a guy, producer Jason, he's got a team. And he's like, I want Myles Garrett.
And my draft picks up higher.
Right.
I got more to give. And you got to ask yourself, like, not only do we going to have to give up stuff, but I always tell people, they love to hold on to draft collateral when draft picks are not guaranteed.
Yeah.
When I'm getting a known commodity that I know what I'm going to get from him, no less than 12 sacks a year.
So since we're in a hypothetical world, right? Yeah. And we talked about all that turnaround that we could have or we could not, possibly not have.
Yeah.
When you have a potential generational talent like that, do you see yourself as a team that has the capital, that has the draft picks to spare because of all the guys that you still haven't signed or probably have potential to re-sign? Do you see that almost fitting? Like, hey, I can go get this guy because I have
all this cap room,
a bunch of capital, and I have the guys that I can already make this team what it was already. See what I'm saying? And add a piece to it that's going to make them better.
Well, the thing we can't do is stay the same. You can't. We can't stay the same.
But he will obviously change it.
He changes everything.
He changes all
and I think just to bring it, just to bring it into Commanders land for a second. Like he's 29 years old. You give him a 3-year deal. He's going to be 32. The contract would be up when Jaden Daniels needs his contract. So then if he's the guy, if he's your Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
Is he going to take you over the
See, the reason why I bring it up, because you just made a great point about, people get caught up in draft picks, which you always trying to build for the future. But you always can get those young guys off of other teams in the future as well. So when you have that, okay, I can get these draft picks up because I don't necessarily have to go get no young talent.
Not when
I have the talent here. You see what I'm saying? There's a couple of guys free agent wise that you can probably go build your team with.
So I think that's a great point. The thing about rookies is they're a cost-controlled asset.
Yes.
We understand that.
Yes. So that's
cheap.
where
They're
cheap. That's where the value comes. Is you're basically rolling the dice.
This ain't time to be cheap.
But you roll the dice on a commodity that you're gonna control for 4 years. If it's a first-round pick, 5 years at a cheap number, right? So that's where when you see teams that have done well, like look at the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They've hit on all their draft picks for the last 4 years. All 3 of their 1, 2, first, second, third round picks
all panned out,
right? And look where the roster's at, right? And they can pay whoever they want. They can do whatever they want because they're all cost controlled, right? So that's where the value comes. Now, to Fred's point, I am willing to maybe sacrifice some of that value, that cost controlled value, for a 100% known commodity. And that's the thing you're managing here in the team building effort, right? In the team, that's the thing, is we want to make sure we're infusing talent. The cheapest, easiest way to do that is in the draft.
Got to ask you this. Do y'all remember the Reggie White trade from Philadelphia to Green Bay?
I do remember. Do you know the details? Or?
No, forget the minutia. Forget the minutia.
No, I remember
Green Bay felt like with Brett Favre, the window is open. They went traded for a lot of collateral, for a game-changing rush in. They went on to win the Super Bowl.
It's a great, yes.
No, I remember that.
So if you feel like he's dead, I don't care what I got to give up. I just don't.
And I think the other thing here about Myles Garrett, too, is schematically, he's such a good fit.
Yes.
He can rush from the end. He can rush from the 3 technique. He can rush the nose. You can put him over the center.
Anywhere.
Stand up. He's got a little bit of think about how dominant Micah Parsons was when Dan was in Dallas. He's got that ability. And and this is not a knock on Micah Parsons. We're definitely splitting hairs here. I think he's better in straight one-on-one pass rush situations. You know what I'm saying? Like me and you. I think Myles Garrett is a little bit better.
Because he has because what's the name is more speed than power, and this guy's power and speed.
They're both excellent.
And not only that, you're solving two problems. You're not solving two problems. You're strengthening things that we didn't do so well.
And then stop the run.
Stop the run.
Myles Garrett
he gonna set
stops
that
the
edge.
run.
Yes, no
Stop
doubt.
the run, and then I think also the reason you would bring this guy in is that you could rush with 4.
Yeah.
You could play coverage, play better coverage structures in the back end for a defensive backfield that is kind of piecing together.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage of that. And
Thanks for
again,
no-brainer.
it really depends on, again, we go back to the watch analogy, right? If I got a watch and I say, this watch, you want this watch? It's like, that's a Rolex. Hell yeah, I want that watch.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, hey, it's $1 million, you're like,
No, I see that Rolex ticking.
Yeah,
Rolex don't tick.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's like, I don't want that. And so that's where, again, the cost of this trade, and I think Freddie did a great job there of kind of illuminating what is valuable to a team in a rebuild is more volume, more access to stuff.
Yeah,
and I think
because we heading in 2 different directions.
Yes.
Like when you call me, you telling me right now, you're trying to win now.
Yeah.
If you bringing this player in, put it like this. If you bring him in, you now have a game changer on each level. What did I talk about with Philadelphia?
Yep.
Yes,
They have a game changer on each level of their defense. All right, you bring him in, I got arguably the best defensive lineman in football. I got a yellow jacket and a damn tornado in Louisville at linebacker. And Marshawn Lattimore and the rest of my defensive back.
Yeah.
I got Pro Bowlers every.
Yeah.
I got the pieces I need now.
Now you don't have to worry about them guys holding up and being in coverage too long.
No. And now I can let
Just what
Coach
you want.
Wick cook.
Yeah.
Like now, Coach Wick, now go play the defense
think
you
about
want to
those
play.
exotic blitz packages now, like where this is a little bit nerdy football stuff here, so I'm sorry, but like you have a guy who cannot be one-on-one blocked in Myles Garrett.
No, you have to
Where
double
is he
him.
in the formation? We're going to send our protection that way.
Yeah.
But now you've insured Frankie Louvu on a running back.
Yes.
And think
And-
about
and
how
Chin coming down.
devastating that
Yes.
would be. It's a nice piece, and again, it may not happen.
Yeah.
Remember, Rolex, expensive.
Yeah.
If it's too expensive, got to move on, right?
Yeah.
Got to.
But it's a really interesting thought experiment because I think that's one thing, like getting that elite rusher. Micah Parsons will be up in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to be a commander? Like, all those things are really interesting questions.
Yeah.
All right, now on to something that I think is significantly less interesting, but we're going to talk about it
All
anyway.
right, let's do it.
Is the Pro Bowl,
Stinks.
does it matter? Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin declined to go. Bobby
Ballers.
Wagner decided to go.
I understand.
In terms of the event, I don't care about it at all.
It stinks.
However, for the players deciding or not deciding to go, I do think there is a monetary element. You've been,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Have
It's
you
just that
been?
money. I was a reserve 3 years in a row.
And you get bonus money for that?
Yeah, you get back when I went, if you're the winning team, you got 40,000, and
'Cause
the
they played the
losing
game.
team got 20,000.
They played the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's still
And
a thing
when
now.
it's time for your agent to negotiate,
That's always
you
a good thing.
get to say, my guy's a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
I was about to say, that was another thing when contracts were going around when I was playing. It was like you could get a bonus from the team if you made a Pro Bowl.
And that was my argument going into 2011 when I was a free agent.
Oh, that's right.
2010, I had a Pro Bowl season, and I got no votes. And Miles Austin and Deshaun Jackson went in front of me when I had better yards. I didn't even get a vote that year, but I got a vote the year before when my yards was less.
Yeah.
And I was pissed off because of the situation I had, with that doctor.
You had
So
the deal, yep.
That's what I always looked at Pro Bowls for.
Yeah.
When it's time to
Wheel and deal.
negotiate, baby, look at my Pro Bowl. And that was like the perfect time for me because I was going to be a free agent. I'm like, I'm a Pro Bowl player.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a vote that year. And I'm like, they just lost me money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, I'm going to tell you what just made me throw up in my mouth watching that Pro Bowl because
I
once
didn't even watch it. I saw no advertisement, no nothing the whole weekend.
Once
okay,
the guys decide I ain't going,
Yeah.
Jaden, Terry, now I'm forced to look at Drake May and Russell Wilson.
I'm excited to see Drake May throw the
No,
ball.
they don't deserve to be in the Pro Bowl, though. These are the things I'm talking about. Do y'all remember last year when the backup quarterback for the Ravens went?
Yeah, the third string quarterback.
Quarterback went to the.
He was there this year.
He was there
Huntley?
again?
Ty Huntley?
Yeah.
He was there
I
again?
think he went from Miami or something like that.
No,
Was that a refund?
he had to be visited. He didn't get voted.
Maybe he was visiting, but he was there. I saw him there on TV.
Damn.
These are the things that cannot happen. I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying? I got an idea for you, Fred. And I'm a football nerd, so maybe this only appeals to me. But I think
You're not the only savant in here.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is like for football nerdy
You a
people.
savant? You the savant?
I am.
You the savant?
Yeah, Willie.
He does
Willie
have
Smith the
Savantage traits.
fifth.
Savantage traits. What I would say is, like, what if you took the Senior Bowl, took it from Mobile, Alabama, put it in Miami, and that was the game you watched, was the college all-star game, and you did the professional like kind of ball throwing stuff around that. Like that's
and they went hung out with the college guys.
And they went hung out and they had a meeting and they talked and like
that'll be better.
And I think that would because it's a good the Senior Bowl is
they got to change something.
Good football event.
I enjoyed the Senior Bowl playing in it. I enjoyed watching it. It's just it's a true all-star game that matters.
And it matters for those kids. But then you'd get Myles Garrett there. Maybe he coaches a drill.
You get Pat Mahomes talking to the next quarterback that's finna come out. Like, I think the young guys would learn so much more.
And I think people would watch it.
Yes.
Like, would you watch that? I'd watch that.
Watch it.
I mean, I watch it anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it gives the event more. And then so you could still do the dodgeball and whatever. Like,
see, you too young to remember
You could actually add those guys into all that stuff too.
Yeah, you could.
You have competition with the
Senior
Bowl kids against the pro kids.
Yeah, but
that would be sick.
You so young and a baby. They used to do this in pro sports. They would take the Super Bowl team
and they'd play
the college all-stars.
All-stars, yeah.
I remember, dude.
Walter Payton.
I just saw that.
Walter Payton had 200. All them boys.
They say sweetness went through. He wasn't sweet and low. He was sweet.
He was toting that thing. So that type, like, I can't believe they had the nerve to do that.
They're crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, picture this right now. Picture
Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs are the Eagles playing against
the All-Stars for college.
25 college kids.
Dude, they'd kill those guys.
You know what? Yeah. I don't know if I'm on the Super Bowl team.
Season, man.
I've been saying, but if I'm on the Super Bowl team and now I got to play this team, I don't know where my mind at.
Yeah.
I don't. I just won the biggest game, and now I got to play these youngsters. And you know, youngsters, they running hard. They out here.
They've had some time off.
Yeah.
I would rather see them compete in the whole competition stuff.
Yeah.
And let the Senior Bowl team play while the Pro Bowlers are around it. To me, I think that would be phenomenal. If you get the senior fastest. Senior Bowl kid going against the fastest NFL player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would be cool.
You know what I mean? Those kind of competitions, the dodgeball against the Senior Bowl All-Stars.
Tug of war. I enjoyed the tug of war.
I would love to see that. But, I mean, something has to change. I just feel like I said, maybe it was advertised. Maybe it was a lot of shows. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Like, I'm normally hearing a lot about the Super Bowl coming in 2 weeks and the All-Stars are finna go play now.
The number one highlight from the Pro Bowl weekend was Marshall Manning.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I saw him on
You didn't
Instagram.
see Peyton's son?
Yeah, Peyton's son throwing fades.
Oh.
Dyson?
Look just
Marshall
like his
out
daddy.
there
Rush.
dropping boogers. I'm talking about. That was the highlight of the day.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, how cool would that be if, like, that guy is the quarterback from Notre Dame and he's hanging out with, Drake May, who was, like, I don't know. That feels like it would help the event, give it some life, help get notoriety for the prospects coming out. Like, I just think it's a win-win for everybody because that event is tough. But in terms of Jaden going, Jaden not going, Terry not going, like, that's their decision.
I mean, they picked the right time because there's nothing to go for. You know what I mean? There's no reason to go, especially having a long season.
I feel like Terry probably put it in his ear and be like, we don't need to go to this. Let's get ready for next year.
Honestly, because this is my thing with it, and I didn't know this until like years later. So you remember all the times that we've been alternates for a while. I know I have. I've been alternate 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know is when you go as an alternate, you don't get that on your notch saying you was a Pro Bowler that year.
Oh, really?
I just saw that on somebody's thing.
Did they always do that?
Look, I just saw this, and I'm gonna tell you how I saw it. I was looking through somebody's bio. And I'm like, I know he went to 4 Pro Bowls. Like, I know the guy personally. They only showed the ones he made, the 2 he made. I'm like, so the alternates, you get you gonna get the money if you're on the team, you gonna get all that, but in your bio, it's not gonna say that you made 3 Pro Bowls. It's gonna say you made the 2 or made however many it was.
That's terrible.
I just found that out.
I mean, that's like
highway robbery.
That's just
it don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like the event, okay. It bothers me a little bit. You know what I mean? It bothers me now more than ever. It's like if you want them, if they're going to the Pro Bowl, like give them their money,
give them that credit.
Like just give them the credit and let's move on. But anyway, so again, I don't think it matters, and I think it's if Bobby went. Good for Bobby, man.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to go that many more of those, right?
Where he at in his career, he has to enjoy it because he don't know which going to be his last.
Yeah.
So he has to enjoy stuff. But these guys, one guy just started his career, and then I'm sure he looked at it as, I need a break.
Yeah.
Like, I just played a whole college year, went to the combine, played a whole year,
grueling, man.
and I made it to the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
I have played a calendar So I'm sure he needed the rest, and not just the rest physically, mentally.
Yeah.
This kid has put a whole region on his back. Yeah, he need a break.
Need a break, 100%. All right, so that's it. Senior Bowl, or not Senior Bowl, Pro Bowl. I'm talking about that. Now, fan favorite, Risk It for the Biscuit, Super Bowl preview presented by Marsh McLennan Agency, your partner in risk and people strategies. Now, and for the Super Bowl, are you risking it by rooting for greatness?
Yeah, 3-peat.
Or risking it by rooting for a rival?
You know what? I had to look at it in boxing terms. All right, let's just say.
Do you watch a lot of boxing?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Let's just say Mike Tyson drops a three-piece nugget on me. Beat me up.
Which he probably would.
He will, no problem.
Think he could still beat you up?
I'm not fighting Tyson. I don't care what happened on that pay-per-view. I'm not getting in the ring with him. Did you know this man once went to the zoo just for the hell of it, seen a gorilla picking on other gorillas, and tried to get the zookeeper to let him in the cage so he could punch out? No, I'm not dealing with this animal.
That's crazy.
But
He a
the
fool,
dude
he
that
is.
kicked my butt, I probably want him to kick somebody's butt.
100%.
I'm just saying. And I'm kind of nostalgic in a way because I like history. And I love the fact that the division I played all my career in, the NFC East, is the #1 division in football. Has some of the best cities. We the only division that all 4 teams have won a championship. And I would just say I would rather for them to add to the legacy because if they win in a small way, we win.
And I'm the opposite.
No.
I give a damn about all that he talking about. Kansas City go out there and make history.
You're rooting for greatness, huh? Because you
I
don't
want greatness.
You don't want Philly to win.
Don't get me wrong. Look, if you had to ask me who I think the better team, Philly, by far. I think now who can probably coach with the best of them, who probably could coach you out of a game, Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think on both sides they can will that team into victory off of just their coaches alone.
Yeah.
But I want to see Pat Mahomes. You know, I mean, they already got him on the throne. Let's go ahead and see it. You know what I mean? Let's see them. Let's see him get the first three-peat. I mean, what more we have to talk about other than Brady being he's 7 times?
Yeah.
Winning 7 times, but winning 9?
Yeah, but never did a three-peat.
Never did the three-peat.
Yeah.
No one ever did.
Nobody ever
and
did.
we talk about Montana having multiple rings. We talking about all these other quarterbacks with multiple rings, but it's never been a three-peat. Man, let's actually see it done, man, from a young Pat Mahomes.
You know what happens if they three-peat right?
What?
Kelce is going to get down on the knee.
Man, get the hell out of here. Kelce ain't that green.
You feel it?
Kelce ain't that green.
I
You
do
feel it?
I feel it.
You feel it?
I don't know that. You know I don't agree with him.
Yeah, listen.
No.
If
Dude,
they win
Super
this,
Bowl confetti, he
Listen.
proposes to Taylor Swift.
oh, this is it's right there with the Super Bowl with it. Is that not a magical Disney moment right there?
I mean, like,
You know what? I wouldn't even be shocked if she got on the knee and proposed to him.
Hey, guess what? They definitely will be risking it for the biscuit.
Brought to you by Marsh McLennan. All I'm saying is this. Listen to me. I could see.
Oh my god!
And you know what?
Dude.
I have pulled.
right? I mean, I don't know, but like, damn, that would be
You know what
crazy.
America would say? I'm tired of them. For real. Nah, I'm so sick and tired of them.
They'll be like, she done stole the Super Bowl.
Dude, but all the news agencies would
They would lose it.
My God.
No, KC wins twice. Like, listen to me. I can see it right now. She been there the whole time too.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, man, I feel it in my heart, though I want Philadelphia to win.
I kind of want that now too. Like, what if he had the ring out and they lost and it's in his pocket? I
Yeah.
don't
And
know.
he's like, I ain't had no win. Hey, listen,
You got it in the thigh pad. You see it right there on the thigh board.
I can see Mama Kelce like, do it.
Man,
And I can see, listen.
I just want to see history, not that type of history, man.
If it happens, I'm going to text you on that text thread. I told you so.
I mean, that would be epic. So I kind of want Philly to win. But now I kind of want Kansas City to win just for the total media circus. But I think I agree with Tana 100%. I think Philly's a better team.
Yeah.
I agree with Fred is that I want our division to win the Super Bowl. I want the team that beat us to win the Super Bowl because we are that close.
Yeah, that just mean
that's what I want.
We that much closer.
I want to
That
see
don't
it.
mean
Yeah.
I know.
Excuse my French.
Yeah.
They gave us the Statue of Liberty.
But would it be cool to see Kansas City win
That's what I want to
the
see.
three-peat? It would be
I
cool.
wanna
But
see
again,
it.
I kind of want Philly to win.
They say teams dressed in red win three-peats.
What are you talking about?
Oh,
They a red
Bulls.
team. The Bulls they the three-peat
Bulls,
team.
Kansas
And
City.
yeah.
Who else won the
And you
three-peat?
know what's the name?
Did anybody else win a three-peat in any other sport?
Oh yeah, the Lakers won a three-peat.
I mean,
and that's
yeah,
when
red.
what's the name?
They
That's
ain't
when-
red.
No, Pat Riley.
The purple and yellow make
Pat
red.
Riley owns the word three-peat.
Yeah, I heard about
He
that.
gets 10%
No.
of.
Yeah, he
That's why. Yeah,
he either patented it or
he patented the word three-peat.
Has a copyright on
Yeah,
it.
he got the
Copyright
copyright on it. And that's why the Chiefs are trying to come up with stuff like Chief Pete and stuff like that so they can avoid paying
So
Pat
that's
Riley.
a fun fact for you. Pat Riley's going to make a lot of money this weekend. But that's going to do it for today's
Hopefully
show.
not.
Hopefully, yeah. So that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure you like and subscribe where you get your podcast. We, as always, appreciate you watching. And that's going to do it.
Peace.
Peace.